Alrighty, guys, let's get right to it. There is so much to talk about with the confirmation, the announcement of the cast of Avengers Doomsday. I'm not calling it the full cast. We'll talk about that later on in the podcast. But I would say a significant part of the cast of Avengers Doomsday. There is so much to talk about, so much so that as of right now, we're going to have multiple segments. And we're going to have 3 segments for now. We could even add more or more and talk about other things as the week progresses, and I'm able to add them to the podcast. But for right now, we're going to have 3 segments. The first one here, I'm going to talk about just the cast list in general, and then we'll talk about some other really interesting things to come out of it that I'm looking forward to. So, first of all, let's just dedicate an entire segment to talk about who's on this list, because it is incredible that they, people are online saying this is the dumbest way to announce the cast with the whole chairs and doing the live stream for 5 hours, whatever. I mean, what? Did you want an entire trailer for a movie that hasn't even started shooting yet? Did you want, I don't know, every single actor to say hi and dress up in their costumes? Did you want every act? I don't understand. Like, it's sure, it wasn't the most simple way to do it. They could have just released a press release and then been done with it. I think that's terrible as well. So, honestly, for all the people complaining about how they announce it, I don't really care that much. It's at the end of the day, what this was supposed to do was give us the names. And we got the names. So frankly, I don't understand. Because the movie is going to come out whether or not we know the cast or not. It's not like they're saying Avengers Doomsday coming out next week. That's a huge deal if we don't know that, for 5 hours. I don't know. That's just me. But let's go through the cast list here. So I have a list pulled up of everyone in the cast in order of how they've been announced. And I don't know if this order is specific in any way. It doesn't seem like it other than the grouping that was later on. We'll talk about that in just a second. But let's get to it. So first of all, starting with 3 big characters. Or I mean, 2 out of the 3 are big characters. The other one we knew was going to be in Avengers Doomsday, and she's part of the Fantastic Four. So Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Now, I think the Russos, I'm not going to talk for 5 minutes for every single character, by the way. We have so much to get to, but just a little bit about most of them. Chris Hemsworth, I think the Russos have done the best job with Thor. They've also done probably the worst job with Thor next to Thor Love and Thunder and Endgame, but Avengers Infinity War showed that they understood Thor. They really got Thor, his comedic timing, but also his pain. And I'm hoping that they can really bring that to light here in Avengers Doomsday. So I'm very excited. Also, the fact that he was up first shows, along with Anthony Mackie and Vanessa Kirby, who, from all accounts, seems like she's going to be one of the main leads of Fantastic Four First Steps, not just, as part of the Fantastic Four, but actually one of the emotional centers and really up in front of the Fantastic Four. I'm really excited about that. So these 3 characters seem very significant that they were announced up front. So Chris Hemsworth, very exciting. He's probably going to be one of the leaders of this Avengers team. Vanessa Kirby, going to be instrumental, I think, coming from the Fantastic Four universe. And Anthony Mackie, of course, going to be, I would say, the de facto leader of the Avengers as Captain America. That's really, really exciting. So then we get to Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes. And right away, people were online saying, they spoiled Thunderbolts, and we know who's going to live and who's going to die and whatnot. I mean, yeah, sure, Taskmaster isn't on this list. I mean, is it any secret right now that they're not going to keep Taskmaster around? I don't know. So everyone was like, oh, they've confirmed that they're going to keep everyone alive and Sentry's here. Guys, I mean, I get it. Like, sure, would it have been interesting to go into Thunderbolts not knowing anything about what's coming after it? I guess, sure. I would prefer that over the alternative, I suppose. We live in a world where Spider-Man Far From Home was announced and filmed before Avengers Endgame came out, when we thought, or when they wanted us to think that Spider-Man was dead. Like, they had trailers for Spider-Man Far From Home coming out before Avengers Endgame came out. So I don't understand what this, uproar is about. It's fine. Like, sure, they're going to live. Having characters die is not the only way to have stakes in movies. I point back to Spider-Man No Way Home. The memory wipe scene where Peter says goodbye to MJ and Ned is a devastating scene, and nobody died. I mean, you could argue that they lost, whatever. Nobody died. So I don't get this whole line of thinking. Anyways, let's move on. Letitia Wright as Black Panther. Good to see her back in the MCU. Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. Also, I love Paul Rudd. He's amazing. So him as Ant-Man coming back, great. Evangeline Lilly, I guess, retired from acting or something like that. She's stepping away. So she, I guess, is not coming back for Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars. Wyatt Russell, John Walker. That's, when we heard Sebastian Stan, I would assume, I guess Sebastian Stan, he would be in an Avengers film, maybe with or without the Thunderbolts. But Wyatt Russell, when we saw his name, it was like, okay, we're going to get the whole cast of the Thunderbolts who survived the film. Looks like pretty much everyone. Then we get Tenoch Huerta Mejia as Namor. And this is interesting because we get another Black Panther character later on. But it's really interesting, right? Because it looks like they're going to be really drawing from that storyline of Talakan and Wakanda kind of being at odds, but in a very uneasy alliance, right? And I think that is, that's going to be a very interesting thing to pull from, especially given that there's a lot of tension going on in the world with Thunderbolt Ross having recently been imprisoned and what's going on, stability wise with adamantium and whatnot. So I think that this is really interesting that he is going to be a part of the film, and I think it makes sense. I would be interested to see where they go with Wakanda. Ebon Moss-Bachrach as the Thing. Yep, totally makes sense. Fantastic Four. This one, the next one up here, got the biggest reaction out of me as I was watching it throughout the day. Simu Liu as Shang-Chi. I've said it before, and I will continue to say it again. It is baffling to me that they have not made Shang-Chi 2 yet, because Simu Liu as Shang-Chi is one of the best things that the MCU has ever done since Endgame. And the fact that he is coming back, because again, it wasn't guaranteed to be in this announcement. I mean, for all we know, they're going to do a part 2 of this in a week, and they're going to announce the rest of it with Doctor Strange and Hulk and whatnot, and that'd be fine. That'd be great. And so if Simu Liu wasn't on this announcement, maybe he would have been still in the movie, but just the fact that he's up here, it makes me so happy. I'm so happy that he's here. So really great. Florence Pugh as Yelena, of course, love that. And then Kelsey Grammer as Beast. And Kelsey Grammer as Beast could have shown up in the movie. By the way, we'll talk about this in another segment where we talk about who's not on this list, but Kelsey Grammer as Beast showing up pretty much confirms characters like Monica Rambeau and Maria Rambeau are going to show up who are not on this list, so look out for that. I mean, I think that there are a lot of characters who are just not on this list, but who are definitely going to be in the movie, but we'll get to that. So Kelsey Grammer as Beast, I think that was the first hint of, okay, we're really going to dive into that other universe, or maybe even just a separate universe, maybe even the X-Men 97 universe, who knows, but I think that that's really exciting. I love the fact that they're going to bring him back. And then Lewis Pullman as Sentry. What's his role going to be? Is he going to be part of Doom's team? Is he going to be good at the end? I don't know. He's a complicated character, so we'll have to see about that. Danny Ramirez as Falcon was another lock, just because of the end of Captain America Brave New World. If they showed us that scene where Falcon's like, or Captain America's like, be ready, Falcon, and he's like, okay, and then they just never included him in the movie, that'd be kind of weird. Joseph Quinn as Human Torch, of course, excited. David Harbour as Red Guardian, very excited. Winston Duke as M'Baku, so again, including more cast members. He is also the ruler of Wakanda, from what I understand from the end of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, so that'll be interesting to see how Wakanda plays into Doom. Maybe Doom is after adamantium, maybe Doom is after vibranium, who knows? That could be interesting. Hannah John Kamen, Ghost, also great. And then Tom Hiddleston as Loki. So it's confirmed that, the TVA or whatever Tom Hiddleston is up to, Loki's up to at the end of time, that's going to be a big part of whatever is going on with Doomsday. And I think that that's exciting. I'm very excited about that. And then I pose the question every single time of, what are people going to think who haven't seen the Loki series? Are they just going to be like, why is he back again? So I think that the Russos have their hands full even more so, because for Endgame, people were like, wait a second, I haven't seen all these movies. What's going on? And you have to explain everything to them. I think even more so with Doomsday because of the TV shows, but we'll see how they handle that. And then we get to the X-Men, because then it starts going Patrick Stewart, and I'm like, okay, Patrick Stewart, Kelsey Grammer, Ian McKellen. So excited to see Ian McKellen back as Magneto. That's awesome. Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler, Rebecca Romijn, James Marsden, Channing Tatum. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's not all the X-Men, but you got Gambit, Cyclops, Mystique, Nightcrawler, Magneto, Charles Xavier, and I'm sure there are going to be more. I would assume there's going to be more. That's so exciting. It's just so exciting. I think out of all of them, Ian McKellen, I'm the most excited about. He's getting up there in age, I know, but it's still just going to be great to see him. He's iconic as Magneto, and of course as Gandalf. And I think that this, we'll talk about this in the next segment, I think, with the X-Men coming in. But this really opens the door for a lot of interesting possibilities. And then rounding it out, here we have Pedro Pascal, of course, as Mr. Fantastic, and Robert Downey Jr. himself as Dr. Doom. So that is the full list that they announced in this little video, or this live. No, it wasn't a little video, it was a pretty big live stream, but I'm excited, guys. I think that this is a really interesting group of characters to dive into here. I will talk about this at the end of the podcast and in another segment. I just cannot, I cannot believe that they're done. It doesn't make sense, and I just don't think that this, I can't believe that this is it. And we've gotten confirmation from other characters or other actors that their characters are going to be coming in. So I think more to come, but this is a very exciting first list. So guys, what do you think about just on first reaction, the list for the cast of Avengers Doomsday? I'm really excited about it. I think it's interesting who's not here. We'll talk about that in just a second, but let me know in the comments down below.